come in?
Yes, please come.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Please
Good
sit down.
afternoon, sir. Thank you, sir.
Just take half a minute and introduce yourself.
Sir, I'm Bhavika Chopra. I'm currently an officer trainee of the Indian Postal Service. I completed my graduation in economics from St. Stephen's College in the University of Delhi. I'm primarily a resident of Chandigarh, but I stayed in Shimla for the beginning years of my life.
Economics.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, because when there's so much of emphasis these days on sustainability, and sustainability issue, you can see it from climate change or the air in Delhi, which we can't breathe, or polluted water, which we can't drink. Yes. Can you give me the economic side of sustainability, the social side of sustainability, and the policy side of sustainability, the politics of sustainability? And you can, if you have kind of extra time, give me the international relations of sustainability.
I'd start off with the economic side of sustainability, sir. A lot of the issues that we see today result because externalities are not often accounted for by private companies, and the costs are borne by the general public.
Correct.
The social side of it exists in terms of the people who are actually facing the brunt of all of these issues are not the ones contributing to the pollution. On the international side, we have the COP30 that took place in Belém very recently. However, there has not been a very substantial contribution by the developed nations, and it was marked by an absence of the major
There
world
is, in
powers.
fact, a figure computed by the UN that what kind of price tag could be attached to either generating sustainability or paying for not having sustainability. Can you think of a figure which is so much per year? You are sustainable, you want to become sustainable, that's the cost to become sustainable. You're not sustainable, that's the cost for not being sustainable.
Sir, I'm unaware about the actual figure. I'll read about it.
Runs into trillions of dollars, in fact.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes.
Every year.
Sorry, sir?
Every year.
Every year, yes, sir.
Tell me, for example, do you think after so many years of efforts, very sincere in some way, on countering climate change, do you think there is a fatigue setting in the process and now the stakeholders are trying to run away from the responsibility?
So perhaps in some ways it is true. People are getting a little tired of repeated promises by the developed world and yet not encashing on the benefits that they claim to provide to the...
Can, for example, the Global South, in the absence of the Global North's sincerity to their commitment in terms of technology transfer, in terms of financial assistance, etc., do you think they can say, all right, if that be the case, we will call the bluff of the argument and wait for the climate change to take place?
So we have only one Earth, so perhaps that might not be
Bluff
viable.
will be too expensive.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, sir.
You have mentioned macroeconomic basis for developmental economy. Yeah? And, you can use all these possible options available to you. And now, in fact, the fashionable term is the market economies, because people do not want to listen to what is called the managed systems, right? There are some basic requirements or eligibility criteria for the market to function. Function the way we expect the market to function. What are those qualifying criteria?
So, for a perfect market to exist, there needs to exist a certain level of competition.
Competition is one. Not
Yes,
only
sir.
certain, it has to be certain and fair.
Fair competition.
A
Yes.
genuine competition.
Yes, sir.
What else?
No barriers to entry. A number of producers.
Which is part of competition. Because if you put barriers, then you are denying competition.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
What else?
Market accessibility for producers and consumers.
Same thing. Basically, you are just explaining the competition, because the minute you do it again, you are denying competition.
Yes, sir. And
it's a free and fair competition.
Yes,
so how
sir.
you can put barriers?
So barriers to entry, I'm sorry if I was unclear, but perhaps preventing monopolies from existing.
Yeah, those are you're trying to prevent that through competition.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
So it's not barrier to entry. It's basically barrier to monopoly, in fact, where the big companies will shut the doors on others to come in. And then coming to, say, for example, since you mentioned monopolies, Indigo affair. Looking at Indigo, and then suddenly your mind opens up to other sectors where monopolies and duopolies are emerging,
Yes.
or cartelization of economy is happening.
Yes, sir.
Yes. In my view, monopolies in certain sectors are a national security threat. Yes. Which sectors would come to your mind where if monopolies emerge, they could be a serious national security threat?
So the defense sector, if privatized, for starters.
But there we so far under control. So
Yes, sir.
give me where do you see that these things are emerging, in fact?
Yes, sir.
We give Indigo one example.
Yes, sir.
65% of the market.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. So the logistics sector, with Amazon and Flipkart making up a ton of the share, followed by the e-commerce sector, also Amazon and Flipkart.
Because they can hold the population hostage
Yes, sir.
by just switching off
Yes, sir.
their operations.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Which other sectors come to your mind?
So the quick commerce sectors.
Or some more strategic?
So the payments sector, because
Payment sector, but thank God this is not in private hands. You mean UPI?
UPI, yes, sir.
Yeah, thank God it's not in private sector. So otherwise just switch off a button and the whole thing will become a chaos.
Yes, sir.
What about ports and airports?
Yes, sir, most certainly. It
Aren't
could
we
become.
letting a monopoly emerge?
So I will have to read up a little about it to
All right.
give a substantive answer. Sorry, sir.
So Bhavika,
Yes, sir.
so when did you join? You joined already postal service?
Yes, sir. 8th December. It's been a week since training.
Good. Let's talk about the women empowerment. I find women everywhere, even in the armed forces. They are the fighter pilot also with Air Force. Your doctor, professor, politicians, scientists everywhere. But at the same time, women need reservation in politics. With 106th constitutional amendment, 33% in the legislative assembly and parliament also. So, in your opinion, is it a justifiable step, in spite of women being so empowered, they need reservation? Then where is the end of the reservation?
So if I may recount an anecdote from college, our college did start off as an all-boys college, and then reservations were opened up for women. So it was justified by saying that once women are at the same level as men, reservations will become irrelevant. So till the time it is irrelevant, perhaps reservations are required.
But we got independence in 1947. So much time has elapsed. But reservation doesn't seem to be getting over. More and more reservation is coming. Probably somebody was talking in last UPSC, till 325 the unreserved category was there. Thereafter 700 candidates were from the reserved category. What sort of kind of reservation is that?
So it does seem to correct a lot of caste inequalities and gender inequalities which exist in society but are hidden because of various factors.
Acha, now let's talk about but postal department, you could be quite new. You may not be knowing something about the postal department, right?
I know, sir. I mean, I've read
Acha,
up
okay.
about it.
Let's talk about the social issues which younger generations are facing. Like these are the different kind of social issues. What three most important social issues in your point of view the younger generation is facing, Gen Z and millennials?
So the starting point should be the job market that we are entering. The job market is not as equitable as it could be.
But that could be economic issue also.
Yes, sir. However, I think it doesn't exist in silos.
Issue. Job market is an issue.
Followed by an epidemic of loneliness.
Loneliness.
Yes, sir. Everyone is connected over the internet, but real life connections are fading.
Fading away.
And the third would be stress and stress leading to mental health issues, sir.
Now, second part of the question is that, see, we have some problem, then society evolves, we try to find out the solution. Accordingly, we keep adjusting. So what are the steps being taken by institute or the NGOs or the government to handle these kind of problems? So let's take case of your college, maybe, and Stephens or something.
So in college, we had an active social life because all of us were required to be part of societies. In addition to that, teachers and professors were encouraged to have tutorials with children, which encouraged small interactions. Besides that, for mental health, we had a college counselor as well, which was a step that really helped us.
Last question. Now, recently, rupee is falling. It crossed the barrier of 90 rupees with respect to dollar. So, firstly, try to give out the reasons why it is falling, and is the stage concerning for Indian economy?
So the reasons for the fall of the rupee are threefold. The first being a pulling out of the FPI from India. FPI. The second being the rising cost of gold and silver, and the third, sir, I don't remember at the moment, but I'll recall it, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bhavika, what does your name suggest?
Sir, it stands for cheerful expression.
Okay. So, Bhavika, in universities you must have seen that students' unions are now getting affiliated to political parties. What do you have to say about this? Is it a good thing?
So, student politics, the way it has existed, has provided role models for leadership, but perhaps ensuring that there exist caps on the way national parties interfere in student politics is a step that could be considered.
Why should students need the help of political parties? Can't they represent their own case themselves?
So they absolutely can, and that is where perhaps a cap would be beneficial.
So what would be your suggestion? The way you are suggesting some kind of partial isolation should be there. So what do you have to suggest? Suppose you had to suggest 3 measures about it.
So the first would be a cap on expenditure. The second would be preventing any incentives, monetary or physical, to sway the vote in one particular direction. And the third could be a public reading of the manifesto so that students vote for actual issues and not just for the leaders or the parties they are associated with.
Okay, so you are from Chandigarh. So at one time Chandigarh was probably the only planned city. But is Chandigarh also a smart city now?
So there have been efforts to make it a smart city, and it has developed over the past couple of years into a smart city.
Can you list out what all features are provided for a smart city?
So the first that I can very readily think of is bikes and biking lanes. The government has made efforts towards that. The second was a robust public transport system, which does exist in Chandigarh. And
no, these items are listed in Smart City project.
So I'm
talking of the Smart City project, wherein certain things have been that these are the bare minimum that should be there in a smart city. Are you aware?
Sir, I am aware, but I will have to brush up on it.
Okay. These days we also hear a lot about rare earth elements. You are familiar?
Yes,
Which elements we are talking of?
So there are 17 elements in total. I do not recall.
Why they are crucial?
So they are crucial because they play a very exceedingly important role in technology transformation and in strategic
Why they have
sectors.
suddenly become important? That's the point.
So because China controls 70% of the processing of these rare earth elements and is the primary export market for a lot of these.
Okay, my last question, that since you are already in Indian Postal Service, you have to convince the board why you have to be upgraded further.
So I worked with an NGO which was Hamari Kaksha in Chandigarh, and I felt that I could make an impact on the lives of the many girls that I could educate. I worked with them post-COVID, and a lot of them I helped retain after 8th grade. So it just depends on the kind of impact I seek to make. It is not that in the Indian Postal Service I will not be able to make an impact, but with the administrative service, perhaps those avenues widen for me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Bhavika, economics,
Yes, sir.
but you opted for sociology.
Yes, sir.
Why?
Sir, I thought it would help me understand the society that I'm serving a little better. And for me, subjects don't exist in silos. Whatever is social also seeps into economics.
Excellent. What is the etymology of sociology? 2 words, one Latin word, one Greek word.
Sir, I'm unaware, but I'll read up on
They
it.
must have taught you in the first class. No?
No, sir.
Socio plus logos.
Logos.
Okay. Okay, now economics. Recently, RBI governor stated that India is in a rare state of Goldilocks situation. What is your understanding of Goldilocks?
So in terms of the Goldilocks situation that the RBI governor was referring to, it means that we are primed for growth where the inflation rate is low but the economic activity is high.
Activities are high. Then why rupee is declining? You have mentioned the reasons. But is it good or is it bad? Declining rupee.
So the chief economic advisor states that it is not a cause for concern because the rupee depreciation has more to do with the external factors of the current affairs that are going on in the globe. However, for India, the quarterly output suggests that 8.2% growth has taken place.
A student of sociology, why the tribal pockets are child marriage hotspots?
So it is because of a multiplicity of factors. The first being a lack of state capacity to enter these areas and also educate people. With education, these rates go down. The second is an absence of livelihoods. When livelihoods exist, people have economic opportunities and the opportunity cost of marriage significantly rises.
My last question. Honorable Prime Minister was there in G20 conference Johannesburg. What was he flagged 6 forums or 6 agenda items. Can you recollect 2 or 3 or 4, whatever you can recollect?
So I don't recollect at the moment.
No?
I'm sorry.
Honorable Prime Minister. No?
Yes, I read about it, but I'm sorry, I don't
And
remember.
Foreign Service is your choice number 2. But then, my last question. What was the key takeaway of this COP30 conference of parties, Key takeaway, 1 or 2 lines.
So the key takeaway was the new quantified goal and ensuring that the global south would play an increasingly important role in transition away from fossil fuels.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
Bhavika,
Yes, ma'am.
what is Pax Silica initiative of US?
Ma'am, the US came up with this initiative to ensure a supply of critical minerals, but India was sadly excluded from this
How many
initiative.
countries are there?
Ma'am, I will read up on it.
Why India is not in it?
Ma'am, perhaps because of an animosity that the current Trump administration has towards India at the moment.
And which are the countries? Do you have any fair idea?
I'm sorry, ma'am, I'll read up on it.
Okay, so not an issue. Then I was reading in the newspaper today that India has relaxed the visas for Chinese professionals. Yeah, and on the other side, China is giving stapled visas. So is it a right move by India to relax the visas for their professionals?
Ma'am, India has always prioritized national interest over everything else. and where it is wrong for China to not accept a one India policy where India accepts a one China policy. China has a pent-up demand, a pent-up supply issue, and India perhaps can create a market for China's excess supply, which is why this visa relaxation might be a step to help the Indian economy.
But this stapled visa issue, why it keeps on coming again and again after like 1 year or 1.5 years? It keeps on coming. Why China is always irritating us on this?
Ma'am, China has historically also relied on this wolf warrior diplomacy where they go on the offensive, and they do claim Arunachal to be Little Tibet and not a part of India. So it has been their policy, but India's reaction to it has always been to oppose it and not escalate the issue beyond
On what
measure.
grounds they claim Arunachal as South Tibet?
Ma'am, I will read up on this and get back.
Do you have any idea about McMahon line?
Yes, ma'am, briefly, yes.
So what was it? Does China recognize McMahon line?
No, ma'am, China does not recognize McMahon line. They recognize their own international boundary.
Okay, Bhavika, it is generally said by many people in India, but common man is also saying youth in India is directionless. So as a young lady, you tell me, is the youth directionless here? If yes, why?
Ma'am, it can be an easy trap to fall into to believe that the youth is directionless, given that it is significantly different than what has been happening for the past generations. But today's youth also fights for their own rights. They are politically active even more so than a lot of the millennials. And they are directionless in the sense they do not seek to institutionalize the kind of structures that have existed in the past but come up with new ones.
But they are driving a lot of agitations, everything, but it is leading to nowhere. They just drive the agitation, but then no solution. They have no solution for anything.
Ma'am, that might be the case in some scenarios, absolutely. But I can think of an example from Nepal itself, where on Discord servers, a new prime minister they had elected, which was Sushila Karki.
She has not been elected. Elections are
Not
due
elected.
next year.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good day. Thank you, sir.